In today's video, we are going to be discussing some of the creepiest horror experiences ever. From a mysterious hitchhiker in the back seat to a haunting goodnight text message, and these stories are guaranteed to give you nightmares. So turn off the lights and hold on tight, because this is going to be a scary ride. A mysterious hitchhiker. A Reddit user shared the following story. One day I was driving home from college when I decided to take a shortcut through a wooded area. It was probably foolish of me, but I figured my car was reliable and it was only a short distance. However, what I didn't expect was for a hitchhiker to suddenly appear on such a remote road. She was standing by the side of the road with her thumb out, and I couldn't help but feel uneasy about picking her up. But against my better judgment, I offered her a ride. The girl got into the car, and without saying a word, she went straight to the back seat and laid down. I tried to ignore it and keep driving, but the longer this continued, the more unsettled I became. Finally, after a few minutes, she got out of my car and disappeared into the trees. As I drove away, I saw that there was no road leading to where she had gone. And since then, whenever I've seen a hitchhiker on the road, I can't help but wonder if they're just looking for a ride or something more sinister. A haunting goodnight text message. Another Reddit user shared this chilling tale. I was in a long-distance relationship when my girlfriend broke up with me via text message. Although it hurt, I understood her reasons and wished her well. However, what I didn't expect was for her to send me a creepy goodnight text message shortly after midnight. Her message read, "Good night, you're right. It's over."
Ow.
While I understood her intentions, it was still unsettling to receive such a cryptic and ominous message from someone who had just broken up with me. As I lay in bed that night, I couldn't help but replay her message over and over in my head. I tried to convince myself that it wasn't a big deal, but it was hard to shake the feeling that something wasn't right. In the end, I decided to call her and hear her voice one last time before going to sleep. And although it didn't bring me any closure, it did put my mind at ease knowing that she was okay. The call. Brianna was spending the night at her boyfriend's house when her phone started ringing. She looked down and saw that it was an unknown number. She hesitated for a moment, but eventually picked up the call. On the other end of the line was a man's voice. He asked to speak to Brian. Confused, she responded, "This is Brian." The man replied, "Oh, wrong number," and hung up. At first, Brian thought nothing of it. But then the calls started coming in non-stop. Every time she picked up, the man would ask for Brian, only to hang up when she told him that he had the right person. Frustrated and scared, Brian decided to block the number. But the calls kept coming in from different area codes. Eventually, the police got involved and informed her that there had been several missing persons, reports filed for women who matched her description. They advised her to be cautious and keep her phone turned off. However, the creepiest part was yet to come. One night, Brian was awoken in the middle of the night by a loud banging sound at her front door. When she opened it, she was met with a horrifying sight. Standing on her doorstep was a man holding a bloodied meat cleaver. Before she could scream, he lunged at her, and everything went black. It's a vanishing act. Emma was visiting her friend Sarah in another state when she decided to surprise her with a visit. She packed her things and took a long drive across country. When she finally arrived at Sarah's house, she was exhausted and hungry. She parked her car in the driveway and went inside without knocking. To her surprise, Sarah wasn't home. Emma checked her phone and saw that she had received a message or a call from her friend. She decided to leave a note and headed out to find some food. But when she returned, her car was nowhere to be found. She frantically searched the neighborhood but couldn't locate her car or her friend. And as the hours passed, her anxiety began to grow. Had Sarah taken her car without telling her? Or was there something more sinister at play? She felt a growing sense of dread as she realized that she was alone in a strange city, without a way to contact her friend or get home. The weight of the situation pressed down on her, making it difficult to breathe. Just when she was about to give up hope, she spotted a familiar face. It was one of Sarah's neighbors who had seen her earlier in the day. Emma rushed over and explained her situation, hoping that the neighbor knew something about Sarah's whereabouts. But the neighbor's response only added to her confusion. "Sarah hasn't lived here for years," she said. Emma was shocked. She could unbelieve that she had wasted so much time searching for her friend in a place where she did uneven live. Disoriented and upset, Emma made her way back to her car, which she had left at the edge of town. But when she got there, she noticed something strange. The car had been vandalized with spray paint, and the tires were slashed. Overwhelmed with a mix of emotions, she called the police and filed a missing persons report for both herself and her friend. As the days passed without any leads, Emma began to lose hope. She could understand why her friend would disappear without a trace or why her car had been vandalized. The mystery only deepened when the police discovered that Sarah had never existed. It turned out that Emma had been talking to a catfish all along, and the entire incident was a bizarre case of online deception. The Puppet Master. Laura was a young woman who loved to collect antique dolls and puppets. She had an extensive collection that she displayed in her home, each with its own unique charm and history. One day, Laura decided to add a new member to her collection. She went to an antique store and found a beautiful wooden puppet that she couldn't resist. It was unlike any puppet she had ever seen before, with its intricate carvings and lifelike eyes. Laura brought the puppet home and placed it on a shelf in her living room. However, she soon realized that the puppet seemed to have a mind of its own. It would move slightly when she wasn't looking, and its eyes seemed to follow her around the room. At first, Laura dismissed these strange occurrences as her imagination. But then things started to escalate. She began to hear scratching sounds in the middle of the night, and her other puppets seemed to be moving as well. Laura was terrified and unsure what to do. She tried to convince herself that it was all in her head, but the constant movement and noise was driving her insane. Desperate for help, she reached out to a local paranormal investigator named John. When John arrived at Laura's house, he was skeptical, but intrigued. He examined the puppet and the rest of the collection, but couldn't find anything that explained the strange activity. As the investigation continued, however, he began to notice patterns in the behavior of the puppets. They seemed to be responding to certain sounds and movements. With more observation, John and Laura uncovered a horrifying truth. The Puppet Master, a malevolent spirit that had possessed the antique puppet. The spirit thrived on fear and chaos, and it used the puppets as vessels to wreak havoc on Laura's life. Realizing the danger they were in, John and Laura worked together to banish the spirit from the puppet. It was a long and arduous process, but eventually they were successful. The puppet became lifeless, and the strange activity in Laura's house ceased. However, the experience left a lasting impact on Laura, and she never forgot the terrifying ordeal she had endured. Mirror, mirror on the wall. A Reddit user shared the following. My mother always told me that if you stare directly at your reflection in the mirror, you'll see the face of the person you're going to marry staring back at you. Of course, I thought this was silly, but I was curious nonetheless. I decided to lock myself in the bathroom and stare directly at the mirror. For what felt like hours, I strained to see any sign of my future spouse. Just as I was about to give up, I saw a face staring back at me. It was pale and gaunt with sunken eyes and a twisted smile. I was horrified and immediately turned away from the mirror. But the face continued to haunt me. It followed me around the room, whispering my name and beckoning me to return to the bathroom. Unable to escape the face, I stumbled into the mirror and stared back at the horrifying visage. The face reached out to me, its cold, skeletal fingers digging into my flesh. I screamed in terror as it dragged me closer and closer, and I knew I was in grave danger. That concludes our list of the top 7 creepiest horror experiences ever. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button below and leave us a comment. Your feedback is very important to us and helps us create more videos like this for you. Also, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on our future content. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.